we have got a bombshell report that reveals that the Biden administration, through Customs and Border Protection, has secretly, no transparency, they've flown in 320,000 illegal immigrants into the United States. The big story here is that they can't deny it. The numbers are the numbers. They just haven't been transparent. Remember back a couple of years ago when all the migrants were flying? We're like, how are they? I thought they walked across the border. Oh no. We're flying them in. Let's get into it. Here we go. So one of the first things that I always do is I always do searches just to see, because sometimes you guys send me articles all the time, and sometimes I look at them and I go, that is some nonsense. I mean, I wish it was true, but that is some nonsense. So I've got to vet these stories so I don't look like a complete jackass, reading something that's just wildly out of line. But this story had so few people covering it that I was kind of like, this does seem like possible fake news. But the source is coming from, Customs and Border Protection is saying that, yeah, we did it, but it wasn't a secret. Everybody was, kind of aware of it. No, we weren't. Because Trump just talked about it on Tuesday, Super Tuesday. He went, we don't know where they're coming from. 320,000 illegals flew in. Security is, at all-time low. He went through that routine, and Elon Musk jumped in, and we're going to talk about Elon Musk saying there's something way greater than 9/11 coming down the pike. All right. And that's one of the things that I always think about on this story. All these illegals coming in. What's the end goal here? What is the end goal? Having millions of people come into the country. The number one you guys always say is, well, they're voters for the Democratic Party. And then, Democratic Party would fact check that by saying, I can't really vote in elections. And then Republican side, conservative side, well, they can in some local. So what I would say is they can't vote in presidential elections yet. Right? Yet. Is that coming? I don't know. That's why this whole thing is like, what are we even doing here? Okay, so if you Google Biden flew 320,000, just leave it wide open. Take your parameters, crunch them down, get the basics, get your keywords in there. So now the first two stories are ABC News is going to do a fact focus. Claims Biden administration is secretly flying. Yeah, they gave it a thumbs down. No, that's not. They recognize the actual facts are true, but the fact that it was secret. Oh, no, that wasn't secret. We disclosed all that. No, you didn't. That's why this is a story. And now you're trying to cover up your traces. Oh yeah, because mainstream media has not touched this one. Story number 2 right here. Fact focus claims that the Biden administration is secretly flying. They called it bogus. Okay. All right. So 1 out of 2, first 2 are saying that they're not even recognizing that this is a thing. They're just saying, well, the way we're going to discredit it so that most people, when they Google this stuff, they pull it up. Oh yeah, it's bogus. It's bogus. And the guts of it are that it's true. It's 100% true. And Customs and Border Protection is not denying it. Whereas when we asked them a couple of years ago, hey, what are all these people doing flying? They don't have passports. They don't have, driver's licenses. They're just coming in. What did we get told at that point in time? Nothing. Stonewall. Just nothing. Just, yeah, if you avoid it, just, it'll go away. You just, yeah, people are flying. Look like they're all from Central America or South America. Huh. It's kind of weird. Yeah, a lot of them say that they're immigrating here. Huh. What do you have to say about that? President Biden? Huh? Vanilla is a pretty good flavor of ice cream. So if you go on down the list, you got House Republicans, you've got NBC Montana. NBC Montana was the only major network or whatever affiliate to come out and just run the story as it was. And then you've got the normal, you got New York Post here. Let me just show you guys some of this. Yeah, sorry about that. You know what? We're going to go like this. So at the top, let's run you through. So there's Biden flew 320. You got fact focus number 1. You got fact focus number 2. You got Joe Biden secretly, that's a government site. You got NBC Montana, story number 4. Then you start to get into it. New York Post, they go down, and we're going to read that one. They go down hey, Elon Post says the end of the world is coming right after this. You know what I mean? Then you've got NBC Montana. Then you got Fox News. Fox News covers it, and the Daily Mail covers it. The Hindustan Times covers it. Nobody else. Just crickets. Just nothing. And then we get down below that. We've got another fact check. So what this tells me, and then right below that, you've got the actual article. This is how far down the actual article that this is based on. The Center for Immigration Studies, government admission, Biden parole, flights create. And that's 4 days ago. That was on Monday. And it's taken this long for mainstream media to recognize it. And they're recognizing it as a fact-checking mission. So that tells me this is legit. Because they're not trying to deny it. They're just trying to, put a little lipstick on a pig because it's not a good look. Hey, when we asked you a few years ago what you were doing, and you said, nothing to see here, nothing going on here. Well, we didn't believe you then, and we don't believe you now. A Freedom of Information lawsuit. Let's get this squared away. That doesn't look good. How about that? That better? Yeah. Freedom of Information Act lawsuit has revealed that the Biden administration has flown at least 320,000 migrants into the United States in an effort to reduce the number of crossings at the southern border. Now, if you think about that, that's pretty smart. Now, if we can just get a whole bunch of them in and nobody will notice, they won't really notice at the airports, will they? Yeah, we did notice. Everybody noticed. What is going on here with all the people that knowingly, what's going on here? Don't worry about that. Yeah, they're just travelers. Just travelers coming into the U.S. The program at the center of the Freedom of Information Act litigation is perhaps the most enigmatic and least known of the Biden administration uses of the Customs and Border Protection One cell phone scheduling app. So this is that app that 60 Minutes is talking about. You get your instructions on Google, you go to the app, you work your way through that. The world is your oyster, right? So the One cell phone scheduling app, even though it is responsible for almost invisibly importing by air 320,000 aliens with no legal right to enter the United States since it got underway in late 2022. You just go on the app, tell them your story, and, you're probably not going to get U.S. citizenship because you probably don't have the right to, but you're going to be let into the country. You're going to be given a work visa, and, you're going to have to wait for your hearing way down the road. Meantime, there's another 320,000 people just dumped into the United States. Welcome to America, right? Welcome to America. Customs and Border Protection had initially refused to disclose information about the flights. Okay. All right. My attention is now piqued. Why? Which use a cell phone app. So they're not willing to disclose about the flights because it could be a security risk. To who? To whom? I don't know what the correct use of it. To whom? I don't know. Yeah. Right. That just doesn't make any sense. Under these legally dubious parole programs, aliens who cannot legally enter the country use Customs and Border Protection One app to apply for travel authorization and temporary humanitarian release from those airports. The parole program allows for 2-year periods of legal status during which adults are eligible for work authorization. And ultimately, it gets them in the country. The flights resulted in illegal immigrants being placed in at least 43 American cities. Get the whole damn country. You just do. All right, come on in, guys and gals and kids. More the merrier. The flights, okay, so 43. Under the terms of their release, migrants are able to remain in the U.S. for 2 years without obtaining legal status. I'm sure that will work out just fine. It's all good, right? We're just one big happy family. Yeah. Meanwhile, And this is topic number 2 for today. Meanwhile, Governor Hochul in New York City is bringing 1,000 extra bodies and law enforcement to the subway system because it's gotten so violent. So, yeah, we're still mainly a happy family. We're kicking illegals out of shelter systems. And got all kinds of storylines going on. Just, what are you doing? Well, we were a sanctuary city. Now we're not. We're not really sure what we're going to do. San Francisco is voting in reasonable laws. What is the world coming to? Shenanigans, I say, right? So we got 43 different American cities they're coming into, and this is between January through December of 2023. This is 1 year. January through December 2023. 320,000 flown into the United States. Spread them out. Spread them out 43 countries, 43 cities. Under the terms of their release, migrants are able to remain in the U.S. for 2 years without obtaining legal status and are meanwhile eligible for work author. They're eligible through this program. They're eligible. All right. I feel better already. Oh, yeah. It's wild. The Biden administration initially refused to disclose which airports undocumented aliens were being flown into, citing a law enforcement exception. New information reveals that the government thought bad actors. Who's that? They might pose a safety risk or create law enforcement opportunities, with Customs and Border Protection lawyers writing that revealing the specific airports would reveal information about the relative number of individuals arriving and thus resources expended at particular airports. We would like to know that. As citizens living here legally, maybe being born and raised here, we would like to know who's coming into the country. That would be good. That would be a handy thing to know. In response to the CIS report, which is labeled as hate mail or hate group, literally when I started looking at this, today is a Thursday, I started looking at this on Tuesday. And one of my first stories was, media, you got to do better. And this was in the comments. Media, you got to do better. This is fake news. Look at who it was written by. It was written by somebody that somebody says, Southern Poverty Law Group says is a hate group and puts out hate information. And you're like, well, no, they just put out a report that you don't like. So then you call it a hate group and then they automatically get dismissed. And you probably didn't even read the article. You probably didn't even read the story, because the bottom line is Customs and Border Protection, they are saying that this is the real deal. This did happen. This is happening. But what they're not saying is, we information was there the whole time. What are you guys talking about? It's not a secret. You're like, 320,000 being let into the country via plane? What are we missing here? What are we missing here? We're missing transparency, actual transparency, right? In response to the CIS report, Elon Musk wrote on X, "Treason indeed, ushering in vast numbers of illegals is why Secretary Mayorkas was impeached by the House," adding, "They are importing voters. This is why groups on the far left fight so hard to stop voter ID requirements under the absurd guise of protecting the right to vote." And that's why I say, you can't say that, they're able to vote in a presidential election, but in some states they're able to vote in local elections, right? And then there's lawsuits been going on. Now you can't vote at all. It's pretty clear that, Constitution says you gotta be a U.S. citizen to vote. Well, but if it's not really representative of the community, that's because you've loaded up the community with illegals who don't have a job and who aren't able, they're not part of this process because they're not U.S. citizens yet. So Elon Musk put that out. And then Musk also suggested that the national security threat posed by the program makes it highly probable that the groundwork is being laid for something far worse than 9/11, a terrorist attack. A terrorist attack is what we're saying. Now, you guys know me. I'm not a huge conspiracy theorist, but what I can't work my way out of, and not because I don't want to believe that they're true, but most of the time I get fed a million stories, right? And I got to be able to have my BS meter out and go, all right, if I read that one, that's a whack of credibility to the channel because it's simply not true. We'd like it to be true, but it's not true. It focuses on this angle of the story instead of the real guts of it, which are, this just isn't a big deal. But what I can't get away from in the whole immigration thing is, why are we doing this? And by we, I mean the federal government. Why are we doing this? What is the end game here? What is the end goal? And that's where I always get stuck with, because we're such a good country and we just love our fellow human beings. And gosh darn it, America. No, I don't think so. So then I'm left with why are we doing this? Yeah, there's something out there. There is an underlying reason. There is an underlying storyline. There is an underlying push, whether it's, world control. I don't know. But when I say those things out loud, I just kind of think to myself, Sean, you're becoming a crotchety old man and it's all going to hell in a handbasket, that kind of thing. I just, I kind of want to know, all right, what are we doing here? So this administration, here's Elon Musk. This administration is both importing voters. look at how he states it. Importing voters. That's funny. And creating a national security threat from unvetted illegal immigrants. I'm not arguing. It's highly probable that the groundwork is being laid for something far worse than 9/11, just a matter of time. I don't disagree with that. The storyline that I would say there is, look at the Chinese nationals coming across the southern border in San Diego. They're flying from China to Ecuador, to Quito, and they're flying from there to Tijuana in Mexico or wherever. And then they're getting a little escort by the cartel, for their final leg. I mean, they've got the means to do it. So many of these other folks from Central America and South America, they're putting a little bit of money down because they don't have a ton of money to begin with, put a little bit of money down, and then they're working their way, out of that debt when they come to the United States by hook or by crook. And, that's where this whole stuff to me is like, all right, so you've got indentured servitude going on. You got a whole bunch of sex trafficking. You got like 80,000 kids that have been brought into the U.S. that unaccompanied minors. Where'd they go? I'm not really sure. Sure, they're all fine, though. They're not being used for, sexual purposes at all. I'm sure they're all just, they're in those sweatshops somewhere. And it's like, what happened to them? What happened to the kids? And you see these horror stories, these videos of watching one yesterday of a 10-year-old kid. His group left him behind and he's just crying. Do you imagine being in a new country? You don't have parents with you. You're 10 years old. Some guy rolls up on you in a, border protection van. You don't know if they're good, they're bad. You don't know what's going to happen to you. You have nobody. I mean, talk about not having parentals there. I mean, how scary would that be? Frightening. And then, these kids just get taken into these various scenarios. It's not good. It's not the way it's supposed to go. So Elon Musk, he basically highlighted this article. It's the main article from the Daily Mail, kind of going through. There's that article. So let's skip through here. Yep, that's the same thing. Elon Musk says Biden flying 320 of unvetted migrants into the U.S. sets the stage for something far worse than 9/11. What does that look like? Daily Mail covers it. Here's the fact focus. This is what we're going to look at here now. Fact focus. This is how they're trying to get everybody to go, oh, okay, yeah, that was just a bunch of nut jobs. 320,000 people. He wouldn't do that to us, would he? He's a nice old man, and he loves sniffing little children. I mean, who doesn't love sniffing little children? That's just what you do, right? It's what you do. So the fact focus from ABC News, not running the actual story, but doing a fact focus to discredit the original story, claims that Biden administration is secretly flying migrants into the country are unfounded. Which part is unfounded? Because this is information disclosed from Customs and Border Protection. So which part was unfounded? Well, most people don't read past the damn headline, do they? No. See, you got all these people. I thought that was untrue. No, it's not untrue. It's the real deal. But I read a story on ABC News. Well, did you read the whole story? No, don't have time. My life's too busy. My kid's got 18,000 different sporting events. My wife's got crochet and, Bible study and couldn't read the article. So now your worldview is based on not really checking an article out and going down this, put your head in the sand. Everything's going to be fine. In his victory speech Tuesday, former President Donald Trump echoed false statements. Are these false statements? False statements on social media that the Biden administration had secretly flown hundreds of thousands of migrants to the United States. Well, let's just break that down. False statements, well, him just saying something is automatically indicated as a false statement, right? Whatever comes out of Orange Man Bad's mouth has got to be false. It's got to be hate speech. I mean, it's got to be just everything that's wrong with the world because he's saying it. So we just throw that out there. The Biden administration has secretly flown. Well, they did fly him. And was it secretly? Well, I mean, they didn't exactly disclose this, right? They weren't coming in with a band or landing at LaGuardia saying, hey, we're bringing in some illegals. They didn't do that. In the Super Tuesday's victory speech, so we're going to trounce on Trump right at the beginning. We're just going to trounce on him. In the Super Tuesday's victory speech, former President Donald Trump elevated false information, and that's as far as a lot of people are going to get, that had gone viral on social media. This had not really gone viral on social media. Mainstream media did and has not reported on this. They will after a few more days of this. Like, is it true? Is it true? Did the Biden administration secretly fly in all these people? Claiming that the Biden administration secretly flew hundreds of thousands of migrants into the U.S. Many posts sharing the claim referred to a report by the Center for Immigration Studies. That's what the whole thing's about, right? A group that advocates for immigration restrictions. And that's why nobody likes them. Because, we just need to bring everybody in. Mainstream media is so, this is the greatest thing ever. Just bring millions of people into the country. It'll be fine. We love our fellow human being. Sanctuary cities rock. Yeah, that whole thing. It said the administration refused to list individual airports where people arrived under a Biden parole program that allows Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans to stay in the U.S. for 2 years. How about Haiti? Haiti has got some shenanigans going on. Instead of spending money helping out Israel, instead of spending money helping out Ukraine, Ukraine's just going to get trounced anyway. End of the day, they're toast. How about we go down to Haiti? Because a whole bunch of people coming in from Haiti because they got that whole, they've got gangs basically running their country. And people are just going to leave. How about we go down and work on that a little bit? Actually do something that physically has an impact on, the U.S. What about that? Provide a little stability there? I don't know. That makes sense. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection each month publishes the number of migrants admitted under the program by nationality. This information is available on its website and in press releases. It does not list arriving airports. So you've got these numbers thrown at you, but you don't know where they're coming from. So is it secret? Well, it is. It kind of is. Would I use the word secret? I would, because I think that's more accurate. But if you wanted to use a word, it's lack of transparency. You weren't transparent with these numbers. You held them out there, but if you got to, have a PhD in immigration study to figure it out, then how transparent is it really? And the fact that we're doing fact checks on this topic makes me think, this is one that they didn't want to get out. Didn't want to let the cat out of the bag. Trump said during his speech, today it was announced that 325,000 people, this is on Super Tuesday, right? Today it was announced that 325,000 people were flown in from parts unknown. Migrants were flown in airplane, not going through borders. All true. All true. It was unbelievable. All true. I said that must be a mistake. Maybe he said that. True. They flew 325,000 migrants, flew them in over the borders and into our country. So what part of that is incorrect? What part is wrong? Yeah, maybe the secret part, right? We don't know where from they're flown. We don't know where they're from. But migrants are not being flown into the U.S. randomly. That I feel better. All right. This is all on purpose. Oh, I'm down with that. That's okay. I mean, all right. So, random versus non-random. You guys planned it. I get it. Oh, I mean, it's okay then. I mean, I'll let this fact check go. Yeah. I mean, that's literally first sentence in, third paragraph. But migrants are not being flown into the U.S. randomly. It's on purpose. So much better. I feel so much better. Under a Biden policy in effect since January 2023, up to 30,000 people from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. I mean, those are not good countries to be bringing in people from. I understand there's a lot of people suffering in those countries, but is that seriously our problem? Well, it is now. It's going to be moving forward. Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. They can enter the country monthly if they apply online with a financial sponsor and arrive at a specified airport, paying their own way. Okay, so that's another key thing there. If you're going to go down the road of pointing this fact out, make sure you get it correct that theoretically, technically, they're supposed to be paying their own way. But it's my understanding they're getting some help with that as well, right? They're getting some help. There's always somebody out there. We'll help you out. Yeah, no problem. Biden exercised his parole authority, and the parole issue is one of the big immigration issues. And it basically, Biden can use parole to bring people, war refugees from Ukraine area when Russia invaded, right? All right, they got to get the F out of Dodge. Where do they go? United States, we grant them parole. They can come in, get work visas, get going. All right. That I understand. Afghanistan citizens, after, we had that incredibly debacled, I mean, what a debacle that was, right? Just, we left $50 billion worth of ammunitions and stuff in Afghanistan. Just the total cluster. People got killed. I mean, just what a mess that was. People coming out of Afghanistan for political reasons granted parole, but not this mass migration. So that's where Biden has taken it to the next level and said, under parole, go ahead and bring these people in. So how far did we get down here? So online with a financial sponsor and arrived at a specific airport, paying their own way, Biden exercised his parole authority, which under a 1952 law, 1952, allows him to admit people only on a case-by-case basis for urgent humanitarian reasons or significant public benefit, or just because for the heck of it. Just bring them in. Because you can't tell me you're bringing 325,000 people into the country and you're checking each one on a case-by-case basis. They've just checked a box somewhere on that app. Yep, I need help. Bring me in. Here's a closer look. Here's the claim. The Biden administration has secretly flown more than 300,000 unvetted migrants into the country. Here's the facts, per ABC. An article published on Monday by the Center for Immigration Studies examined a major example of how Biden has exercised his parole authority for Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans. But he didn't really disclose that, did he? He kind of did, but it wasn't very transparent. Because if we would have known about it, people would have been like, no, that's a no-go. We're doing what now? That's how you get all these folks into the country, right? Each month, U.S. Customs and Border Protection discloses, here's how they're trying to make you believe. All right, it's all good. It's all fun. They disclose how many people from these four countries were allowed to enter the country. On January 26th, the agency reported 327,000 were vetted and authorized for travel. It's all good. Well, then how come we're having so many incidences of violence by illegals in the country that we haven't really vetted? So many questions. There were more than 67,000 Cubans, 126,000 Haitians, 53,000 Nicaraguans, and 81,000 Venezuelans. I mean, if you want to pick some countries with some instability, just go with that 4-pack right there. You don't even need a 6-pack. You don't need a half rack. You need a 4-pack. make your day, right? The Center for Immigration Studies article says CBP approved flights that brought 320 to the U.S. last year. The author, Todd Bensman, learned that they came to 43 airports, but the government refused to divulge which ones. We've covered that, citing an exemption under the Freedom of Information Act for law enforcement sensitive information. Now, we talked about that. It's like, nah, you just didn't really want to go down the road of being full disclosure on this because it's a bad look. It's a terrible look. And now the cat's out of the bag. You got Trump yelling about it. And then guys like me kind of come in on the tail end and go, gotcha. Benjamin said Wednesday he doesn't consider the program secretive, but finds it enigmatic and lacking in transparency. That's what I would say. Borderline secret. That's where I would go. I would go borderline secret. The migrants are not coming in from parts unknown, as Trump charged. Well, but we also, I would disagree with that, because how do we know where these people are really coming from? They are literally just, plunking in on an app. And if you've seen the app, I mean, it is so basic. You just put some information in and then we're going to kind of vet them. They are coming in from parts unknown. We know that, right? But, if you're on government side, you're going to say, oh, no, we vetted them. We fully know where they're coming from. No, you don't. Customs and Border Protection vets each one for eligibility and publishes the number of airport arrivals from Cuba, that 4-pack we talked about. Social media posts, including one by Elon Musk, charge that the administration is doing this to bring in voters. Here they go. But people admitted into the country under parole leave no path to citizenship. They can obtain work permits for a limited time, but voters must be U.S. citizens. So why are we bringing them in? Why are we bringing them in? Yeah. But people admitted into the country under parole have no path to citizenship. Yet, right? Biden has exercised parole authority far more than any of his predecessors. And it's one of the tools that he has used to get people into the country. Hey, I can't bring them in, these other ways. They look just terrible. But I can do mass parole. It's a tool that isn't really meant for this type of situation. It's meant for a specific country or, region, something going sideways. All right, bring them in. And that makes, Vietnam War would be an example. All right, let's mass parole these folks in. Yep, get it. That one makes sense. What he's doing is just telling people from all over the world, come on in, it'll be good. Just be a big party. Party in USA 2024. And hello, Hernandez, a White House spokesperson, said Wednesday that reports of secretly flying people into the country were categorically false. Were they? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Because I would say that is not true. The fact that they flew here, the numbers were correct. Nobody's saying anything about that. The countries we know were correct. They're identified. The fact that they're thoroughly screened, tell me another fast one. That's just nonsense, right? That's nonsense. The Trump campaign and Musk representatives did not immediately respond to requests for comment Wednesday. Okay, so that's ABC. ABC News. They don't run an actual story on it. They run a fact check on it. Here's WRAL News. Fact check. Claims Biden administration is secretly flying migrants into the country are unfounded. The only part about there is your definition of secretly. Otherwise, this is just what you've got going on. It's crazy, right? It's crazy that these are how the news stories are being manipulated. You've got an actual story and you've got a story that took place back in 2 years ago. Everybody was, what's the deal with all the immigrants flying? What's the deal with all of them at the airports? Because I think a lot of it happened it was kind of just as we were flying again, coming out of the pandemic, and people were like, holy cow, what's going on here? And you'd see an entire line of, folks that are clearly from Central America or South America or something. And you just say, what's the dealio here? What's going on here? And the U.S. government, nothing. You're nothing to see. Nothing to see. I mean, just, they're flying. Where are they flying to? They're just flying. They're just, flying. And then 2 years later, here we are. Hey, we figured it out. This is what they're doing. Now there's fact checks, all this craziness, right? It'll be interesting. Do you think tonight, President Biden, fearless leader of the free world, will he talk, about this thing at all? Will he bring that up? Because he's probably going to butcher it, right? And will he say her name? If you know the name of who I'm talking about. Yeah. Will he say her name? Probably not. And these are hot topics going on because people are like, hey, these are indications of what's happening in the real world. And yet we're being told another thing. And then mainstream media, number one, isn't even covering it. Or number two, is putting such a spin on it that it makes you believe from the outset, from the get-go, that the topic is bogus. Oh, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. I saw an article on ABC News. It said that didn't happen. But which part of that didn't happen? I don't know. The whole thing. That's what people walk away from. And that's how people get, influenced in a certain direction. And that's what made me think this topic here, this has got some legs because we know it's true. Customs and Border Protection is saying it's true. It's just that the way that it's coming out makes people think, if they're willing to do that, what else is going on behind the scenes here that we're not aware of? And that's what I come down to. It's like, all right, why are we manipulating the facts on a news story that's clearly, obviously true? And we're doing a full court press to, right at the get-go, that's written by a hate group. Don't believe it. It's fake news. Well, did you read it? Oh, no, it's written by a hate group. Now, by hate group, you mean a group that writes stuff that you don't like. That's now what a hate group is, right? I mean, just anybody who says something that somebody else doesn't like, that's a hate group. Don't believe them. It's all nonsense. Complete BS. Yep, can't believe them. You're like, did you read it? No, you can't do that. All right, that's it for me on this one. I have beaten this one into the ground. I think it's a wild topic. Did it happen? Absolutely. And here we sit. And moving forward with the State of the Union address tonight, be interesting to see if this topic is recognized and if, somebody having their head bashed in by an illegal immigrant, we'll see if that topic comes up as well. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. I'd love to have you subscribe, hit that notification bell, all that good stuff. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.